Yeah, man, it's May the 4th, 2023, and I'm going to talk about this gang stalking and virtual reality. Not exactly. Uh, Let me start out with like Hollywood and movies and stuff like that. So, you know, there's been movies in the past that are somewhat related to neuromonitoring. And if you know about neuromonitoring and then you watch these movies, then you realize, oh, okay, yeah. That's where they got the idea from. It's not people sitting around dreaming up some stuff. I mean, they can, of course, you could dream up anything you want to and make it a movie, but a lot of this stuff is based on real ideas about how neuromonitoring works. For example, The Matrix. Okay, when I just remember one particular scene where he put on that thing and he's like, I know Kung Fu, right? And maybe not exactly like that, but to be on neural monitoring, you can run a program or connect to a person and receive that information. So it's not like you have to go out in the yard or over to the uh, to the studio where they do the kung fu and spend 6 years learning all the kung fu. Okay, you don't exactly have to do that to to kind of learn the kung fu. If you connect to somebody that knows kung fu and then they start to do it, then you can kind of learn it that way. Same with like if you could, they could run a program that's like giving them that information because they're receiving, and that's what mind control is just to receive this information. And if it controls you and you're wandering around like a zombie, okay, not very likely, maybe possible, but more likely you're receiving that information just like you receive uh, broadcast artificial telepathy, and you're receiving that information. And that's a form of mind control. It's like almost makes you want to talk along with it when they're talking to you. You want to talk along with them. And it comes with time to be able to break off from that and to not be mind controlled. Okay, not that they're just like mind controlling you walk into traffic, but when they're talking to you, you want to talk along with them, and it's like a urge. It's like you'll be moving your mouth or look like you're talking to yourself or something. And sometimes you can kind of pick out a gang stalker if there's somebody around you and they're kind of just like they're moving their mouth. And kind of whispering to themselves, or looks like they're talking to themselves under their breath. It's likely and definitely 100% possible that somebody, because they are not able to, okay, for example, let me give you, because I want you to understand this is something that's important, okay? Somebody that is a gang stalker that was around me a lot, and the person that has my neural monitoring, well, they couldn't be on the headset and everything and like fully receiving me when they were around me because they had to pretend like they're not a gang stalker, but they used to be talking to themselves all the time. And what it was another gang stalker who was connected to me was also speaking with them and giving them like the play by play of what's going on up here. All right. So um, they would be sitting there talking like they're talking to themselves. And I didn't know what was going on then. Okay, but like a year or two later, when they're when it all kind of started to make sense to me, and I'm sitting there talking along with them while they're talking back in like 2015 to 16. They're talking, and the guy James, who was the guy who was on that person's channel, giving them the play by play at the time, Black James is what they call him, but. Um, he used to say I could talk for myself, Kevin, and he would mess with me about it because he would start talking to me real slow and very precise. And while he was talking, and I would just be like real slow, very precise, right, like some kind of idiot, right? Now he would say I could talk for myself, Kevin, and I would feel like an idiot, and that was the thing to make me feel like an idiot because they can do that on purpose. Okay, so it is a form of mind control. Uh, you know, Not that it's making you walk into traffic, but on some level, it is a form of mind control. And you can break off from that and be like, shut up. I don't care what you're saying. And but they have the settings. They have the meters and the knobs, all right? And they can turn things up and turn things down. And to receive is a form of mind control. And if somebody's doing kung fu, you receive them, you have a general idea of kung fu. Will you be able to physically get up and start doing kung fu? I doubt it. Very unlikely, because you haven't actually learned that. You've just understood the concept. All right. And you've been connected with somebody who can do that. So you get it. You know how it feels. Is your physical body ready for that? No. No, you've been sitting on your fat ass on mind control for years and decades, and you don't do anything, and you're not doing kung fu, whether you know how to do it or not. Okay, so there's limitations to what they can actually do as a physical human, even if they have a concept and an understanding of something, even if they've felt how it feels to be able to do that, because when they're on mind control connected with somebody, they can receive that in a comprehensive way where they even feel how it feels, like, whoo, I just did a smooth one, right? And they're like they feel that, can they do it? No, but they can feel it. Okay. So the Matrix, yeah, that's one. And that's something that, I believe the idea on some level came from neural monitoring. And just to kind of talk about why I'm getting at all of this, I was sitting on my porch and looking at some stuff on my phone, and I got some information that I was kind of looking for. And so right then I feel, boom, it's like all of a sudden I got a broadcast crawling around my genitals. And I'm thinking, what in the world is wrong with these gay men that they're so obsessed with my genitals, right? And it's like a sexual assault. It's a molestation, because in their mind, right, they're living as a broadcast, a hologram broadcast that they can connect, because they connect to people and they connect to a broadcast, a hologram broadcast, and live life and experience life as that broadcast while they're on mind control. Things over their eyes, thing on their head, and they're just sitting there probably drooling on themselves, half asleep, but they're having the experience of these things happening. And so why are these men who are on my neural monitoring, these gang stalkers, why is it that they're obsessed with my genitals and they want to crawl around my genitals? And it was a punishment for me getting the information that I was looking for that's going to help me. Right, on nothing to do with neural monitoring, but something else. But it doesn't matter. Everything's punished. If you think something they don't like, they'll punish you. And for them, in their mind, these gang stalkers of this group that I deal with, to them, punishing me was a sexual assault by with their broadcast going onto my genitals. And as soon as it happened, I'm like I feel violated. I feel like I've been gay sexual assaulted. Gay molested. That's what it feels like for me. Okay, so it's very real for me. I feel like they're sexually assaulting me and molesting me in a gay way. And even if it was a woman, it would still be a problem. It's not permitted. I didn't give anybody permission, and it's not something I agreed to. There's no consent. Okay, so what I have is basically what I would call gay men molesting my genitals with broadcasts while they're on mind control, having the experience of being on my genitals with their broadcast. And I don't care what the reason or how they're perceiving it, or if they just think it's funny, or the level of reality in their own mind as they have that experience. I don't care. Okay, bottom line, it's a gay sexual molestation and a sexual assault. That's the bottom line. Okay, moving on to like some other movies. The Matrix, we talked about that. Let's talk about the Avatar movie, okay, where they don't put on anything. They lay in the little capsule. They put some things on, I think, too, but they're laying in the capsule, and they're able to connect to the Avatar, the blue creature, and they're able to experience life as that blue creature. Are they the blue creature? No, but the blue creature exists, yes. But whether it existed or the blue creature was a broadcast, same same exact scenario, really. Okay, the concept is the same. You're connecting to something outside of your physical body to be able to have the experience and live as that creature or as that broadcast in their case, in these gang stalkers' case, that hologram broadcast. You know, I seen a broadcast motorcycle zoom up my street at like 100 miles per hour one day in a neighborhood. And it was just like, you could barely see it. The lighting and everything was perfect. You could barely see it. It was like, you know, and they can do stuff like that. They can have the experience to get on a little motorcycle as a broadcast and you know, or a little ship, like a little flying thing or whatever they want. That just a program, you know, activate 200-mile-per-hour motorcycle. There they go, you know, as a broadcast. They can have that experience. And, you know, they can buy these little programs and they probably trade stuff around and, you know, voice setting programs and flying machine programs and whatever the thing is. They can have the experience of doing these things without having to do them in real life. So just like, you know, the blue avatar guys got him a girlfriend and, you know, they was kissing and, you know, having this whole experience and it consumed him. It consumed him. He didn't want to be a human anymore. He just wanted to be the blue avatar person and ended up being that. But I mean, that's where the movie part is. But the idea and the concept, it comes from neural monitoring. It comes from being able to connect to something else and live as that. And you could see how he was obsessed with that. He wasn't eating food and he wasn't getting up. He was just staying on broadcast to be that blue creature because that's the life he wanted. And it was so much better than his own life. And these gang stalkers have the same exact thing. Their life is no good. Their life is horrible. They're out of shape. They're not attractive. Nobody likes them or whatever the reason. For whatever the reason, to be a broadcast is better for them than to be a human. So they lay there on mind control all day, every day. I don't know how they afford it. That's probably why they live 10 of them in the house and probably half of them get disability and Social Security. Some of these people are old and they don't do anything but sit around on mind control. They make a little bit off of this live stream, make a little bit off of that live stream, put out 10,000 live streams over the course of many years, you know, and collect a few pennies a day off each one. And it starts to add up to something. So there is an incentive for this content, this illegally obtained, complete violation of everything to do with everything, privacy and human rights and all kinds of stuff, complete violation. But that's how they make money. There's no gift cards and there's no program. They could give you neural monitoring tomorrow if you want to, and they wouldn't have to go and delete you off of some FBI list. There is no program. The program is everybody's on neural monitoring. And you have it or you don't. And if you don't, maybe somebody will give it to you or maybe you'll figure it out. But it's more likely that somebody will own your neurological frequency profile online and trade it around or sell it like human trafficking or gang stalk you and do live streams of your life. And that's how it works. Okay, so, you know, that's another movie, though, Avatar, where it's very much based on how neural monitoring works. And I believe the idea comes from neural monitoring and EMF broadcasts. Another one is Ready Player One. I watched that on an airplane a few weeks ago on one of my flights. And it's like they put on a bunch of virtual reality stuff and they're living in this simulation world. And, you know, they love that simulation world. And in this particular movie, there's like hardware and a bunch of stuff you could buy. You got on the virtual reality thing, and then you could wear these bodysuits and all kinds of like advanced things, which in neural monitoring, you don't really need all of that. They do have more advanced levels where they have like stuff they wear, like whole body type suits they wear. I believe they have some sort of low voltage system where they can, you know, put some kind of broadcast all around them, like through a suit or some kind of electricity maybe going into their body at a very small level to help stimulate this or that. But ultimately, the headset, the mind control, the reception, they can get a lot, most everything from that. And, that would be the basic thing that you would get if you're a gang stalker and you want to connect to people and connect to a broadcast and all that. You would just have the headset that they wear. And, and I've talked about this too, how they can do this stuff without the headset, but it's like, do you have a headset? All right, now how tuned in? And I know they have the knobs and the switches, and they control all the settings on the online interface dealing with your neurological broadcast frequency, which is remote neural monitoring. Okay, so I know they have it and they have the controls of it, but still, to some extent, like without any equipment or anything, just a basic human standing here, you have some perception of broadcast of what's going on. Deciphering the difference. Oh, that was my thought. Oh, you just thought that. Whoever's connected to me just thought that. Or I just thought that myself. That comes with time. And it's still never going to be as good as wearing the equipment, the headset and stuff they have. It makes it very comprehensive when they put that stuff on and they're able to receive you. I mean, it puts it down to the layers of thoughts under the thoughts. Like it's almost like if you think of something and you're like, oh, what was that? I almost had it. Trying to remember something. They probably got it. If they're connected to you with the equipment, they probably got it. And it's that good. It's that good. And there's never been an outage. There's never been a day or any kind of disruption or anything. There's nearly 9,000 satellites in orbit. And if you look into it, there's actually, I think they're planning on having like, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30,000. I don't know. It's the numbers going up. And if you do the math, because I did this the other day, how many satellites are projected by the year 2030 and how many are there now. And if you do the math, it's like they're putting satellites up every day, like multiple satellites every day overall. It's like they might shoot a rocket up that has like 4 or 5 satellites on it. And you won't hear anything about it because it's just a business thing. They're just putting satellites up there. And it's not like some thing where, Elon's going to Mars or the NASA's going to the space station or something. It's nothing like that. It's just a business thing on the side where they say, okay, we're going to do this. And if you pay attention to that kind of stuff, you'll hear about launches like every day. And it's like that. It's like every day there's new satellites. So they're projecting it to be like, I don't know, like 25,000 satellites by 2030 or something like that. Don't quote me on the exacts, but it was a lot, which is why I was like, how is that even possible? That's more than one every single day. And I looked and it's more than that. And they literally send rockets up with like 4 or 5 satellites on one rocket, and they're doing it all the time, like every day or two or something like that. So, there's plenty of satellites and there's no outages or anything. And all this stuff's probably working together. At least a lot of them are probably working together. I've never heard of anybody saying, oh yeah, the broadcast went out. Sometimes people say they left me alone. The gang stalkers left me alone. And who knows, maybe somebody loves you and they bought your neural monitoring and turned everybody off. Or maybe somebody decided this is too dangerous to target this person. Or maybe there's a million reasons why you could quit being targeted. But if you didn't get your neural monitoring, you could start being targeted again today by neural monitoring, people connected to you unconsensually, broadcast telepathy, and all of that stuff. But, the movie Ready Player One, that was the most recent one I watched. And you could tell that, it's starting to get like that where, it is based kind of on the concept of neural monitoring, but virtual reality in general. It's funny because we have virtual reality that you can go buy at a store, like many different kinds. I think Apple has one and Meta has one, the Oculus thing. And, where you put on a thing and you actually got the screen inside of it and you can play games and stuff. I know you can get like video game consoles that have that for like Nintendos and stuff like that. But it's funny because virtual reality is an actual simulation. And when you and it's not it's real. I've played some of these games. They're kind of realistic, or they're cool. Okay, maybe not realistic, but it's very cool, and it's like probably better than like a typically looking at a TV screen to play a video game. But um, still, it's virtual reality, and with mind control and neural monitoring, which we've had for decades, it's not even virtual reality. It's broadcast reality, because when these people broadcast, they're broadcasting around Earth in the physical realm that we live, not in some virtual world inside of a video game, not computer simulation. They're broadcasting around Earth, and they're actually interacting with humans, and many times in violent ways. And that's broadcast reality, and that's not virtual at all. So I try not to even call it virtual reality. And if I make the comparison, then I want to explain it, because it's not virtual reality. But it's funny how like now we're starting to have all this virtual reality, and it's like 20 or 30 years behind of what's actually going on. So 20 years ago, people started getting on mind control, and I can vouch for like 10 years ago, but I'm pretty certain that it's probably been going on for at least maybe 20 years, but probably maybe 15 years on the broader scale, especially when like mobile internet and a lot of satellite stuff started to become more available, for consumer use. And, it's still an underground thing, but there's a lot of people that have neural monitoring. But it's funny how, whatever's available at the store is something that was 20 years ago was coming out for like underground or government or something like that. And don't get it wrong, think that this is all government, because yeah, the governments know about it. The CIA and the NSA and the FBI, and they know about neural monitoring, but they can't really do anything about it, because then they would have to admit that it exists. And at this point, it's leaked out to millions of civilian people. Millions, I promise you, millions of civilian people have neural monitoring, and they're able to connect to the other hundreds of millions of us. Okay, so it's probably somewhere, if I had to guess, this is just an uneducated guess, but just by, if I say I know 500 people, and 50 of them have neural monitoring, that's probably true. And to think about population in that way, there's probably, more than one or two out of 100 that have neural monitoring. So I would say maybe, to guess, 1 to 5% of people, maybe 1 to 3% of people have neural monitoring, and the other 99 to 97% or whatever have the possibility to be targeted. Not that they are, but maybe most people probably are in at least some way, because it's just an infiltration. And for people, if somebody connects to you and knows what you thought one time, you've been targeted. You've been gang stalked. You've been targeted. You've had an unconsensual connection to your private neurological processes. And that goes on every day with everybody. But it's just the hardcore targeting where, they start to follow you around and put you on like public, where you're on street theater, and got strangers becoming involved because they can get access to your neural monitoring. Somebody has put you on target. And there's levels to that, where it can become broadcast telepathy, where they're talking to you, or it can become broadcast torture, where they're hurting you. It could probably get much worse than that. So that's what's going on. But I wanted to compare it to these movies and talk about how Hollywood is like, a lot of the ideas for some of these wild movies is based on reality of what's really happening. And they kind of twist it around a little bit and make a big movie story out of it. But in general, a lot of those things are possible to some extent. And some things are even more advanced than what you would see in movies. For example, that Player One movie, it's, you know, neuromonitoring is more advanced than what they're doing in that movie. But anyway, so that's what's going on. I started a video because one of these idiots was crawling. You feel it like static, you know, and like I can tell because they just broadcast it there, and it's like suddenly it's there. It's like, oh, you know, and if they penetrate into your body anywhere, heart, face, eyes, knees, they like to attack knees and feet and genitals and any of these places. You feel it when they penetrate with their broadcast, when they just go into you. You feel it and it hurts. And if they leave it there, it causes a higher temperature on that portion of your body, and it causes pain, internal pain. It's like burning you from the inside out and touching nerves and different stuff. And they use it for torture. Some of them are what you might say a torture monger or something like that, where they practice torture. They practice how to hurt you the worst without getting caught. And that's what they thrive on, is to hurt you. And those people are sick. So I stand by it. Capital punishment for broadcast torture. I think they should be put to death because they're horrible people and we're better off without them. But ultimately, I don't know what direction all this stuff's heading, but I will keep on talking about it, and I'll keep on trying to progress my life. And, you know, but Hollywood, they know what's going on. And is it sexual molestation? Is it sexual assault? Is it gay molestation? Yeah, I think so. I think it's all of that. So that's what's going on. Y'all have a good day, and I'll be back soon.